Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, Life, Law, Bin. Now let's talk about bringing disability to the bar, aka the savvy term BDABar. Now I'm excited to talk about this one. This is an organization that has taken the legal world, to be fair, the barrister world by storm. Now, what before we even get into it, what are some of the barriers that prevent disabled aspiring barristers from attaining their goal of becoming barristers?
I think the problem, which is not just in the legal community, but sadly in the society of 2022, it's still the case, is that we see disability as simply meaning inability of the person to do things that someone else does. However, we should change that prejudicial narrative to understand the fact that by being disabled, you do things in a different way and you develop skills and experiences which can be a huge asset. And as I mentioned earlier, when I was reflecting on my experience, I think some of the barriers that we face, especially in the bar, like structural, in the physical way, such as lack of accessibility due to how old the courts are and the chambers, which a lot of them are like listed buildings, to more of societal and mental barriers in the sense that we see the bar as a very traditional, hardcore, competitive profession. So it's hard for some people to see how someone with disability can succeed and thrive, especially as we move to more senior levels at the bar and even the judiciary. Because if the bar is not disability inclusive, how are we expecting the judiciary to also become disability inclusive? The number of judges that officially identify as disabled, especially in the senior positions, is very, very, very minimal.
Not only that, too, we need to make sure that we need to make sure that the bar is truly reflective of society. And we can't talk about diversity and inclusion and, for lack of better terms, just forget about a section of the society and not make it accessible.
And what I was going to say was it's also about the clients. We I get comments to the fact that how if I pursue career in a criminal bar, how will I be able to meet my clients in the prison cells, assuming that prisons are not accessible, which a lot are not accessible, let's be realistic. Or how will I be able to go to the Crown Courts? But then it's not just about me as an advocate, a future advocate, but it's also about a disabled client, a disabled defendant, a disabled victim, or a member of the jury. Justice and the bar as a profession, as you said, needs to be reflective of society, because that's the only way for the society to be confident on the advocates. If advocates are seen to belong in a very narrow bubble that reflects a different society, then you see a huge gap in confidence and reassurance.
Correct. I can cast my mind to a situation where I went to represent a claimant, and the defendant um, attended, and he was utilizing a wheelchair, and the court was simply not wheelchair accessible, so he couldn't actually reach the hearing room that other parties were in, including the judge. It was honestly embarrassing. It was a disaster because obviously he felt disadvantaged. And obviously, the hearing had to be rescheduled. It had to be allocated to a court which was wheelchair friendly or accessible, because it just wasn't satisfactory to have him do that hearing in a room which potentially criminal defendants were being held in. It was a very small room. It just was unacceptable, and in the end, in order to have a fair hearing, that matter had to be moved. So it's clear that we do have a system which is still not ready to serve its citizens in its entirety.
Definitely, I could agree more with that.
Yeah, and I must ask you, although it does seem quite self-explanatory, why did you decide to found BDABar?
So I decided, so BDABar started, I founded the organization in August 2021. And the reason for founding the organization was I visited one event of court. And before going to the lift, I got a comment saying we're one of the most renovated inns because we were the most destroyed in the Second World War. And then I tried to access the lift, but my wheelchair was not able to properly fit in the lift without being scratched. So then I realized that, well, your perception of what accessibility means is not really realistic. So then I was very frustrated and annoyed at that point. So that evening, that next morning, I made a tweet and asked for people to sign up in a Google form and come together to form an organization. I never thought that that tweet would receive like 300 likes and even be retweeted by the secret barrister. Like, I never thought that the secret barrister would like and retweet it. I was so happy as a big fan of the secret barrister that day. So that's how I founded the organization. And it's like, I sounds like a very surreal story in a way, but I never thought that would be here where we are a year later.
No, fantastic. And then that's why I always believe that one person can change the world, because that one tweet practically went viral. And other persons would have expressed interest, and you came together to form this organization. Now, what are its aims? Yes, you were about to say something.
The thing is, it's not I founding the organization. I think the whole committee of the 15 people was, without the 15 initial members, we wouldn't be here where we are today. So this collective support and collective work is why BDABar is where it is right now.
No, that's absolutely awesome. That you guys just kind of found each other and gel and made something work. And what are its
It's a
aims?
family.
Ah,
It's a
wonderful,
family at this point. So
wonderful.
our aims to be, it's simple, try and make the profession more accessible to the next generation of disabled aspiring barristers, the future of the bar essentially. And we do this through creating a comprehensive equity, diversity, and inclusion policy and policies that we will share with chambers, the of courts, and bars in general, then lead our own research. And at the moment, we're looking, for example, to court accessibility, reviewing the Hampel Method, and we're considering whether the court attire is really accessible or not. And then we try to host events in order to broaden our outreach and engage more and more people in order to reflect on why regional adjustments matter, for example, or essentially why we need to be proud of being disabled and raise awareness about it.
And how challenging is it to destigmatize disability and improve accessibility at the bar?
It's very challenging. Not gonna lie, it's very challenging. But recently, I forgot to mention in our how we meet our objectives a little bit. For example, the bar is also creating its own programs like two-way mentorship, and we just launched today our mini-pupillage scheme. But through these programs, we've learned that some of the barriers that exist cannot be overcome with only one solution. More people to be vocal, support to improve physical barriers needs to be there, which also requires funding. And then we need to also create a strong educational program to try and overcome social barriers that affect on perceptions and prejudice of how we view the disabled community. But what have been really surprised positively was the fact that there are so many barristers that are eager to learn and improve. They're honest that they don't know much about disabilities, but they've put themselves forward to mentor our members. We received 56 barristers that in their very busy schedules, they wanted to offer mentorship to our members. And that was really inspiring in the sense that not many of them identified as disabled, but we don't want only a disabled person to be mentored by a disabled person because that won't be super productive. We want our mentees to offer mentorship to non-disabled barristers to try and offer this new way of learning. One learns about the bar and the other learns about disabilities. So yeah, even if things are challenging, I see a lot of motivation in order to improve in the future.
I definitely think the conception of the two-way mentorship scheme is an exceptional one. It definitely demonstrates its innovation because I think it is necessary for those mentoring as well who don't have a disability to learn about it. So I definitely think it's valuable. Now, I know you mentioned the BDABar's research projects. Could you tell us a little bit about the importance of these things? I note that you guys have stuff like the Court Accessibility Project, the Hampel Method Project, the Court Attire and Accessibility Project, in partnership with obviously Ivy and Normanton, one of the leading legal clothing organizations for the bar. So tell us a bit about the importance of these kind of research projects.
So court accessibility is something that we touched early on. If the courts are not accessible, then it's not just the council that will not be supported by many defects, clients, witnesses, and many more actors, let's say, in the trial process. So we try to essentially create a map of which courts are accessible, which courts are not accessible, and if a court is accessible, what does its accessibility entail? Is accessible to a blind person, someone with any hearing impairment? If there's a lift, does a lift work? And so on. And then with the Hampel method, actually this was brought to our attention by a former bar course student who identified as neurodiverse. And they really struggled with accessing the bar course due to how advocacy was exercised through was marked through this method. So we now try to investigate whether it's a better alternative or what adjustments can be made to make Hampel Method more accessible, essentially. And then when we consider court attire, wigs and gowns really differentiate solicitors from barristers in the eyes of the common person, but they might not necessarily be the most accessible aside from like a wheelchair user. For example, I might not be able to wear a gown in the sense that it can put too much weight on my already very weak muscles. Could reduce my mobility, or I don't know how it would be wearing a wig and having to rest my head on the back of my wheelchair. Just some examples. With same modifications to take place for people from like religious backgrounds, but there's not enough out there research to support for how court outfits might put disabled individuals in a less favorable position. And that also includes suits and like very structured outfits. So it's a very long, it's a very difficult project at the moment because it goes beyond just the law and society law and what you expect to be a problem in the life of an aspiring barrister. But in reality, you don't want to be in a courtroom and feel pressure because what you wear makes you even more disabled than you are in a sense.
Oh, definitely. I think too, the project seems to focus a lot on the practicalities. How practical is it to wear? How comfortable is it to wear? Most of the time, court demands some lengthy hours sometimes in the day to be there and to liaise with the client and to also perform your advocacy. You don't want to be uncomfortable while trying to advocate in the best interest of your client. So I think that that project, along with the others, are invaluable. Now, we know that some chambers do try to um, have more inclusive recruitment strategies, but there still is a ways to go. Now, what do you think chambers and other legal organizations can do to improve their recruitment processes in order to give disabled applicants a fair chance to succeed?
Get in touch. It was really interesting because we've been collaborating with Public Court lately as part of the Law Together project, and we produced a code of practice focusing on disabilities. So in that code of practice, we really examined the recruitment process for mini-pupillages, pupillage, and tenancy and so on, and what support there is for um, aspiring barristers with disability and so on. So yes, chambers need to realize that even if they need to actually reflect upon whether they're accessible, and if they don't think they're accessible, what organizations are out there that can help them improve their awareness on disabilities, essentially. And it's not bad admitting that you're not accessible. But the ways, what can you do when you realize you're not in order to improve the current situation? And if you cannot be accessible for everyone due to financial reasons, for example, try to do your best to at least be as much as accessible as possible.
I think definitely one of the main themes coming from this interview today is as persons have to develop a willingness to learn, educate.
Yes.
Yeah, educate yourself. So you must first assess what you do not know, what you know, what you do not know, and then be in a position to learn, find out, research. I think researching and educating yourself helps you or put you in the right direction to stop being a part of the problem and to become a part of the solution. So I think a key takeaway is to be an ability to be in an ability or a position to learn. Now, I'm grateful that you would have explained earlier the mentorship schemes and the mini pupillage schemes and its importance. But how do you think, just very briefly, how can students or applicants get in touch to apply for these schemes? Because they're generally quite competitive. Do you think there's anything that they need to know in order to probably prepare for a successful application?
So getting a mini-pupillage has been really, it's very competitive process in general. So because we cannot offer mini-pupillages to everyone due to the limited number of mini-pupillage places, but we want to give everyone a fair chance. We've produced a guidance on how to best approach the questions and also how to get in touch with us. But I think that there's ways to just visit our website www.BDABar.org in order to find the resources, the application form, the mini-pupillage policy or the two-way mentorship policy equally, and guidance on how to apply. Otherwise, you can just drop us an email at mini/pupillage at BDABar.org to try and ask questions if you have or ask for some adjustments.
Well, you
Or
heard
follow us on social media. We're very active there.
definitely, you heard it, people. If you have any questions, definitely follow them on social media and get in touch with them via their websites. And I believe as well that allies can get in touch with you via your website and your social media. Is there any other ways that they can become involved in BDABar?
I mean, we want people to get in touch to discuss other programs. This is how we can help them. We will be delighted to get invited and give our talks either in universities or to, in chambers, try and raise awareness. But equally, we want people to offer us feedback. We are a group of people now trying to access the profession. If an ally has any comments for us on how to improve, how to be more productive, we want to hear comments. We want to hear feedback. Otherwise, there's no way for us to improve and be in a position to really achieve our objectives. And just drop us an email at admin@bdabar.org. That's the easiest way, in addition to just finding us on our website and social media.
Wonderful. So that means the organization is also very receptive to constructive criticism or suggestions or learning in general, and that seems to be the crux and the main theme here, people. And how obviously can persons with a disability become involved of this family? Because I noticed
We
it's a family, so of this family.
so we as we expand, we recruit more and more people. At the moment, we've managed to receive a great amount of applications for latest vacancies, budget vacancies on like mini-pupillage scheme and outreach. But soon we'll be launching our BDABar University Reps program, where we'll be asking university students to become BDABar reps, so they'll be the first point of contact between our organization and university students. And also we'll be recruiting researchers for the Court Attire Project and the Hampel Method Project in due course. Just keep an eye out on the social media for further updates.
Well, there you have it, folks. Keep an eye out on social media, keep an eye out on their website. And I can tell you that it's very easy to use. So kudos to whoever set up that website. It's very, very easy to use and to navigate. So definitely get in touch with them. Whether or not you're an ally, whether or not you have a disability, seems to be a very friendly organization describing themselves as a family. So do get in touch. And we were chatting with the lovely Konstantina. Um, Unless you have anything further to say, I believe that we have reached the conclusion of our session today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was really lovely staying with you.
Wonderful. I feel the exact same way. Thank you for educating me. Thank you for educating our viewers. And I'm sure that you will have many more allies and you will have many more disabled aspiring barristers joining the organization or joining the family. So it was a pleasure. Until next time, folks, we'll see you again soon. Have a good one. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Take care of yourself, people. Bye.